Cool. So what we're getting into tonight is our second week of the mindset calls, and this is all about creating routines and habits of excellence. The first part's going to be on basically setting up your day to win. And then the next part, the second part is going to be about how you can set up routines of excellence so that you can dominate your game or your training, which is going to be pretty cool. So when we get into this, girls, just like have a think throughout. What's the one thing that you can implement straight away? So as I sort of go through it, think about, hey, look, I'm going to put that into my routine tomorrow, or I'm going to put that into my routine for my next game. And then we'll just have a wee chat about it as we sort of go through it. So let me get this set up. Cool. Can you see that, Felicity?
Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Okay, cool. So routines and habits of excellence. Essentially, this is the toolbox of goal achievement. So the people who basically get the most done are generally the most successful, and it's quite often that they don't get more done, they get more productive things done. They get things that matter more throughout their day, and they're just able to get those things like getting all of their training sessions and getting their nutrition, getting their mobility, getting their recovery. The ones that can do that more often over a longer period of time are always the ones that are going to win. So let's have a look at this little part here. So your habits control your outcome, whether you like it or not. So that's a really important thing to know, is that no matter what you think, your current habits you have now, your current routines you have now are controlling your outcome. And the cool thing about this is we can actually change our routines and we can change our habits, which means we can change our outcome. Okay. So if you want better outcomes than you currently have, knowing that you can control this is a really great tool that you can implement. So first thing we need to do is understand the habit loop. Okay. So what it is essentially we have a cue, a routine, and a reward. And this goes on a system, on a bit of a loop. And so what will happen is we'll either get something that cues or trigger us. That will lead us into a routine, which will ultimately give us a reward. So say, for example, it's, like late at night, you sort of look at the clock and it's like 7 o'clock. And normally you have like an ice cream, or you're like, oh, I just feel like a dessert because I feel like a treat. So that's your reward. And then so what happens is you'll go to the fridge, you'll pull out the ice cream, you'll put it in a bowl and you'll eat it. So you'll get that reward. So we always have cues that lead to a reward. Cool. So just on that, Felicity, can you think of any times, like any habits right now where you essentially get a cue or a trigger that's consistent in your life?
I don't know whether this one's relatable, but I always get a cue to train if I haven't trained yet.
Yep.
Like I'll kind of look at the clock and be like, right, oh, I need to do something I need to do, something I've forgotten to do. And I'm like, oh shit, that's right, I haven't trained today, especially during lockdown, because you don't really have like the same routine with work and stuff.
Yep.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the thing. And then I'll go do it, and then I'll get those endorphins and I'll feel mint afterwards because I did that thing that I felt like I needed to do. Yeah, I mean, same goes with like you said, food and stuff, like meals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anyone drink coffee? I can't see you girls, like, because you're. But,
oh my god, I'm gonna edit. I forgot about that.
Can you explain your triggers for a cup of coffee?
Oh, I like in the morning, like when I first wake up. I like drink some water first, and then I'll go. Always have a coffee, usually, or have a coffee before I train. That's like my cue, and my body's like, oh, we're doing something now. Okay.
Yeah. So like, I guess one of your cues is like, hey, I'm about to train. I need to be pumped up for my training. So my routine is I go and get a coffee. Cool. Or some pre-workout or something like that.
Oh
yeah. Cool. So that's a basic habit loop, guys. And so one thing could be that, like, a negative habit could be that, hey, look, it's Friday night. Hey, look, it's my reward is like relaxing and going out partying with my friends. And so the routine is you might go, down to the, what do you call it in New Zealand? It's not the bottle shop. I'm a bloody Aussie now, so I forgot all this stuff. But yeah, you go to the bottle shop, you get some beers, you have a bit of a party with the friend, and that could be a negative routine that leads to a reward. But it could be that, hey, look, it's Friday night. So the cue is Friday night. The reward I'm after is I want to hang out with my friends. I want to be social. So instead of having the routine of, going down the pub or going to the beers, it's like, how can I create a different routine that still aligns with my goals? So maybe we could go to the gym on a Friday night. Maybe we could go have a sauna. You're still getting that social reward, but the routine is actually aligning with your goals more. And so what we want to do to understand our habit loops is learning how to change a bad habit into something positive. Okay. So anytime we have a bad habit, something that we know it's holding us back from our goals. For example, it could be that, we know we should be eating better, but we just got this real bad habit of wanting crap food all the time. Or it's like, we have the bad habit of like, hey, I feel like going to training, but as soon as I sit down on the couch, I just don't get up and I just don't go to training, and it makes it hard. So when we want to change a bad habit into something positive, first thing we got to do is identify that negative habit you want to change. So some examples of that could be arguing with a referee. It could be cracking under pressure. It could be lazy and not getting to the gym. It could be not eating for performance. And then once we've identified the essential to negative habit, we want to identify the trigger, the cue, and the reward. So let's say, for example, we take the habit of, our negative habit of arguing with a referee. What is the thing that triggered that? Was it that a play didn't go your way? Was it that you're feeling like you're out of control in your game? Was it that you made a bad decision? What was the trigger that caused that routine and essentially leading to that reward of letting off some steam? And when we identify the trigger, we're actually able to change it. And then what we want to do is create an alternative routine that still has a similar reward, but corresponds to the trigger. So what we're just going to go through that, ladies, is think of one of your habits you currently have right now that may be negative or maybe positive that you want to reinforce or get rid of. And we'll sort of just work through that. So Hope, since you're on the screen, we might go a few first, mate.
Okay, one that I do know of, and I'm trying not to do it, is like Friday drinks after work.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I won't go into the office on a Friday because I'm easily persuaded.
Yeah. So when you think about that, like obviously like the cue is like, hey, it's Friday night, the office drinks. What is the reward you're actually looking for?
I won't be hungover for a game on Saturday.
Yeah, I guess so. But when you actually have the drinks, those Friday night drinks, what is the reward you're getting from that?
Oh, I guess I'm just having fun with my work friends.
Yeah,
probably that's the thing.
Yeah, cool. So if you were to sort of like, it's Friday night and right now you just go home and you change your routine, like obviously you just don't stay around because you're easily persuaded. What is a different routine you could use so that you don't wake up on Saturday hungover for your game, but still get that social aspect then, hanging out and having fun with your friends?
I can organize something different on a Friday night that doesn't involve drinking.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any ideas on that so far?
But maybe like usually it'll be like something like the movies, because you don't really drink at the movies, or bowling, but that can be a little bit iffy because you can drink at bowling.
Yeah.
Usually, but what I will do instead, I just usually just go home and I'll just watch movies at home, because that's fun with me as well. I don't really mind that either.
Yeah, cool. So I guess like the biggest thing for you right now is probably have trying to find 2 or 3 options that don't involve drinking. And it could be something like, let's say you're a bit sore from the week. Maybe you go to like a yoga session or something like that just to chill out. it could be that, you go to the movies with your friends, or it could be like you just have a movie night at home. Might be a bit challenging because someone's probably likely to bring a beer or so. But it's like just thinking of 2 or 3 different routines that still give you the reward. And like obviously, like staying at home watching a movie is cool, but if you have 2 or 3 options, then at least when you get bored of staying at home, you have something else that still sort of fits that. Especially when you're in the season as well, because like obviously your rugby goals are like more important than, I guess, getting on the beers with your friends.
Yeah.
Cool. So that'll be a bit of a homework for you is to just identify a couple of routines that will help with that. Aisha.
A bad habit that I have is going to sleep late.
Yep. Cool. Why is that keeping you? Why do you stay up late?
Well, it's quite hard in lockdown because I usually get really tired, like when I go to school and do all my training there. But having to like be confined and not to go out as often, it's quite hard to go to sleep early.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess like one of the things here, like the cue is obviously like you want to feel sleepy, which will make you go to sleep. Your current routine of not being able to go to school and obviously do your training and stuff is a bit hard.
Yeah.
So how can you, I guess, make yourself tired and still feel sleepy at nighttime?
Do more exercise.
Yeah. So train harder, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you sort of like fit it in? I guess like, are you still doing homeschool at the moment?
No, we're on school holiday.
Okay, cool. So maybe it's like having something that challenges you mentally as well throughout the day,
Yeah.
so that you still expend that social energy. And it could be that you just set it up as like you make sure your day is still like a school day.
Yeah.
So it's like, start school at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it is, do something, chat with your friends on Zoom and then do your workout, about 10 o'clock in the morning. Just make sure you still got that same sort of routine, but obviously adjust it for lockdown.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything you can think of that you can put in there? Maybe just have a think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then because the next part will probably help you with that as well. So Samaria, what's your one?
My bad habit is probably staying in bed for ages when I wake up and like going on my phone.
Yeah. And what is that stopping you from doing?
Winning the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And that's probably quite good because it's going to lead on to our next part, is essentially winning the morning and preparing for the day. So in regards to that, Samaria, like getting out of bed, what is one thing that you could do instead of jumping straight on your phone?
Just get up, make my bed, and then, well, when I'm at school, I would get up, make my bed, and then go train. So I could do the same here.
Yes. So that might be the best thing for you is like when you wake up, do you go on your phone because it's like killing the boredom?
Yeah. Also, yeah, because I wake up way before the rest of my family. And so there's nothing to do, no one to talk to. So I just got my phone.
Just jam on your phone. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So one thing you could potentially do is like put your phone, in the lounge or in the bathroom or something. So you actually have to get up.
Yeah.
And then just be like, all right, I'm off to training now. So like just get your training done early.
Yeah.
So that like obviously everyone's still asleep and you can go and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What about you, Floss?
Well, my routine's kind of been all over the place because I've been all over the place. But since I've been back home, like, yeah, same thing really. Going to bed earlier. I stay up late.
Yeah.
And then wake up late, and then like the rest of the day is kind of foggy, when you sleep a bit too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely need to get back into like kind of imitating like my routine when I'm at work. Maybe not quite as early as when I start work usually, but just getting up and having something to eat and going and doing a workout and going for a walk, meditating or something, doing some breath work, because I feel like it's a bit of a kind of anxious vibe over Auckland at the moment. So
yeah, for sure.
Do some mahi to calm that down.
And that's probably one of the biggest things like we've seen that have helped people through lockdowns over here in Oz, like because we've been in and out of lockdown fucking for 2 years, I guess. And that's the biggest thing is if you can keep your same routine, it gives you a sense of, I guess, consistency, which sort of reduces like the anxiety and stuff, which can be really, really helpful as well. So I guess this next part, ladies, is getting into routines of excellence. Number one, if we can win the morning and prepare the day, basically we can set ourselves up for success. So one of the best things is a morning routine. And so a morning meditation can be a very, very good one. I know for me, like I'll wake up and my mind's just racing 100 miles an hour. So I actually do a meditation first thing when I wake up because it allows me just to settle down my thoughts. And it also helps me just gather everything. So before I even get out of bed, I'll do a quick meditation and then get up. Then the next part is you can ask yourself some morning questions. And you can do this either in bed or the first time as soon as you get out of bed. It's like, who do I want to be today? Okay, and so if you ask yourself that question, it's actually a really good one to ask because it's like, who do I want to be? What are the traits and things that I want to be today so that I can go and win the day? And it could be a good one for you right now, Floss, is like when you wake up is like, shit, who am I going to be today? And it's like, am I going to be the strong, dedicated, consistent Floss, or like, am I going to sit around home, And I know it can be a real struggle, but sometimes just asking yourself that question can be a really good one. Then it's also like, who needs me on my A game today? And one of the things that we often find in lockdowns is we lose a bit of a sense of purpose because it's like, shit, what do? We don't often have work. We don't have school. We're missing like out on things like rugby and stuff like that. So if we can go and find a bit of purpose on like, hey, who needs me on my A game today? It can be a really good question to help us find a little bit of meaning to the day in terms of other people. And then another question is like, at the end of the day, what would I have said or done that would have made today a success? So maybe just a quick round, like Floss, out of those three questions, which one do you think would have the most impact on you in the morning?
Like, who do I want to be today? Yeah. But my family are back home, so most of them. So, it's not like, and they're kind of who I'd want to be on my A game for, like I've only got one, I'm only living with one person at the moment. He's working all the time. So I'm kind of by myself a lot. So like, yeah, it could be on my A game for me, but it's hard to be on your A game all the time, especially 100%. Right now. So like it's being kind to yourself and allowing yourself to not be on your A game as well. So yeah, who do I want to be today?
Yep.
Yeah, and, like you said.
And with that question in terms of your A game, is your A game different on day to day?
Yeah, I think it does differ, depending on how you're feeling and how you're coping with things.
100%. I think that's something like you just said there is like, if we can give ourselves that little bit of space to be like, hey, shit, my A game today, it's not me fucking being at my absolute best, but my A game for today is I'm going to stay positive. Or, it's like just that little bit, like it doesn't have to be 100%. It might be that, hey, shit, today is a shit day, but I'm just going to give it my best,
Yeah. And is your A game focused on, all the physical stuff and trying to be like, get all your workouts done, or is your A game today just going to be a little bit more laying off that and focusing on processing some emotions that you have around something because you're feeling a bit anxious about it, So yeah.
100%. And that's it can shift a lot, from day to day. So yeah, really cool. Um, Another thing, guys, is like having some movement, and I quite like a mindset work first up in the morning. And it can be just like one thing for me is like I'll walk before work because that'll sort of allow me to let my anxious sort of ADD brain sort of slow down a little bit, and allows me just to sort of like clear my thoughts. And I might put on a bit of a podcast or some music just to get my mind set for the day. And so like, let's say for example, like you want to have, when you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, who do I want to be today? And you're like, okay, I want to be chilled. And it's like, all right, on my mindset walk, I'm going to put on, some reggae music, and I'm just going to put on some super chill music, go for a walk, find somewhere really nice and just sit down. And that could be like a 15 to 30-minute walk just to get, your mindset in the game. The movement could be like a little bit of mobility. It could be like your prehab stuff that you have to do, or it could be your workout, getting that done first thing in the morning. But it's really important to move first up. Then the next part is your nutrition. So getting some good food into you for a start, whether it's like, your morning drinks, where it's like your waters, getting your first meal of the day in, but just starting off the day with some quality food can be massive as well. And then we want to jump into our evening routine. So this is a really good one to prepare for the next day and essentially just let go of what's been going on throughout the day. So one of the biggest things that I always struggled with was I was always like, shit, there's more to do, or I haven't done this, or I haven't achieved this for the day. And I always found it really fucking stressful, and it sort of like, it would keep me awake at nighttime, and it would really like mess with my sleep. So one thing I found was a really good one was like a brain dump. So taking out a pen and paper at night and just basically fucking unloading on a piece of paper, like all of your thoughts for the day, like good and bad, like write them all out on a piece of paper. And then essentially just like reflect on it for 5 minutes. So you might put down there like, fuck, today was a really fucking shit day. Fucking lockdown was crap. It rained all day. My cat shat on my bed. It's like everything that could go wrong went wrong, but fuck it, like it's like, sometimes it's good just to put it on paper as like a bit of a brain dump. And a good way to look at it is like, you want to flush your bricks, it's like, just fucking go take a big dump on a piece of paper, and flush all the shit away. And then one thing too is like always ending, I guess, with a little bit of gratitude. So have a little bit of a reflection and a bit of a think about a moment you really enjoyed. And so it could be that you had a really, really tough day, but there was something in there that like made you think, hey, look, I'm pretty proud of myself today for the way I handled that, or it's like maybe that one thing that someone said to you, or that smile that someone said to you, and just sort of reflect on a moment that you really enjoyed. And have a little bit of gratitude. That can be a really awesome practice as well. The next thing is you want to plan your next day. So essentially winning the morning means winning the night. So if you can sort of sit down for a couple minutes and write out the top 3 things you need to get the next day, give yourself a little bit of a routine, and it will essentially make tomorrow easy. So, getting out your things like your gym bag, like let's say the first thing in the morning you want to do is get straight to the gym or get your training in. So set your gym bag up by your bed so that it's already done. Set your first meal up so it's already done, Make tomorrow easy. And that's a really good way to look at it, is like, all right, I'm going to set myself up so that tomorrow is easy. Then we want to have like a nightly unwind. So one of the best things you can do is like turn all your technology off an hour before you go to bed. Turn your phones off, put everything away, and essentially just say, hey, no technology an hour before bed. Then a meditation can be really, really good. And I also dropped basically a full sleep routine into the course page, and I'll show you guys that soon. So out of that, ladies, we'll just start from Samaria. Like, what are the things that you can take into your routine either tonight or tomorrow? Starting with Samaria.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi's really bad. Can you please repeat that?
Out of these like morning and night routines, what is something that you're going to put into it?
Probably for the morning ones, probably gonna be reflecting on who needs me on my A game today.
Yeah.
Because my life is pretty much family orientated, and yeah. And for the evening one, probably planning the next day, because that's what I like to do anyway.
Yes. So,
But I haven't been doing that in lockdown, so I'm probably gonna start that.
yeah,
Nice.
awesome. Cool. Aisha?
For the morning, I probably do a mindset walk. I feel like those help me. I've did them a couple times in lockdown. Want to be more regular with it.
Yeah.
And for the evening, the main one for me is probably turning off all technology like an hour before bed, so that I can go sleep earlier.
Yeah. And then you can wake up feeling fresher for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, cool. Hope.
I think probably in the morning, just something simple like making my bed when I get up.
Yeah.
So usually I don't do that till after. And at night would just be kind of planning my day, like
Yep.
for tomorrow. Yeah, just for like what I'm gonna eat and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that's a massive one, and it's one we underestimate quite a lot. Just actually having a plan, that allows us to get more done. And it sort of takes away a bit of decision fatigue as well. If you ever feel like you just feel worn out from trying to make heaps of decisions, like it's like almost like your willpower's gone. One of the best ways to increase your willpower is just take out decisions, just like have a plan and then just stick to it. So that's really good. What about you, Floss?
I always plan my next day at night time. But
Do you have an example of that?
I usually just like write it out. So
Yep.
I'm like, this time I'm gonna do this and this, and I always get my outfit or my work uniform or whatever. If I'm going to training, I'll grab my clothes and I like kind of fold them up and leave them in a pile so that I can be half asleep, stumbling around, getting dressed, and not stressing about where my socks have gone.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do. Have like a bit of a routine, but like recently it's been kind of all over the place. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing that again. And writing like a brain dump. I usually try and do that most evenings, just to, even if it doesn't make sense, I just write out everything that I'm feeling or how my day was, and and then it kind of ends up going from like boom boom all the stuff, and then at the end it kind of ends up being like, oh no, it was actually real cool, and then I did this and this was quite cool too. So the gratitude stuff. And in the morning, yeah, I want to start going for a little walk while I'm in lockdown, while I'm not working, because a little stroll would be really good for me, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I think that's a massive one for lockdowns, is like just getting out, first thing, and just like getting a little bit of clarity and let yourself enjoy a bit of fresh air. Or we can tend to feel like we're a bit locked up, Cool. Awesome, ladies. Cool. So one of the ways I guess you can make these habits stick a little bit more is we want to leverage habit stacks. And so one of the things with that is sort of what we were talking about. So for example, Felicity is like, hey, look, every morning I'm going to go for a walk. It's like, what can you add on to that? Maybe it's like you go for a walk to your training. So it's like, or in the morning, it's like, hey, look, when I do, when I brush my teeth, because I brush my teeth every morning, I'm going to listen to a mindset podcast. Or that's when I'm going to ask myself the question, hey, who needs me on my A game today when I'm brushing my teeth? And so it's like, yeah, hard. So it's sort of about taking a habit that's already established and just adding something on top of that, because essentially what that does is becomes your cue. So it's like, all right, that's right. I'm brushing my teeth. Oh, I need to ask myself that question of who needs me on my A game today, or, you know, who do I need to be today? As you're looking in the mirror, brushing your teeth, which would be a good one. But it's sort of like, that's a really good way to make sure you get new habits on. Next one is like, just be held accountable. So, you know, getting like a accountability partner. So partnering up with someone in this group and just saying, hey, Felicity, tomorrow I'm going to send you a text at like, you know, 6 a.m. when I go for my mindset walk, just to let you know I'm doing it, you know, and that could be a really cool one too. And it could even be that you're like, Hope, I'm going to ring you in the morning. Let's have a chat while we're on our mindset walk together, something like that. So it's sort of like finding an accountability partner. It could be that, you know, you post it on your social media that you're out at training, just some way of keeping yourself accountable. And then the next thing is extreme ownership. Like, you don't have to do this stuff, but if you want to improve faster, it can be a really valuable thing. Is there anything you want to add to that, Felicity?
No, you pretty much covered it. But yeah, like leaving things out to remind yourself. I sometimes just leave my journal out open, like on the bench or something, just so I walk past it and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't written that yet, you know. And like having little rewards for it as well, because you know your brain does work, like you said, in that reward system. You do something, I'll get a reward for it. So even like creating a little reward for yourself. Maybe you go for a walk and get a coffee. Yeah. Or something like that. And you can get people in your household to help hold you accountable too, for the accountability part thing. Writing a list is quite cool, so you can tick stuff off. Because if you're a list person, it's quite fun to do that.
I like that because I'm like, I just like winning shit. Even if it's a tick, I feel like I'm winning.
Yeah,
so
same.
stupid.
I'm competitive against myself.
Yeah. It's so silly, eh? But like, some of that stuff helps. And it's like, maybe you set yourself like a 30-day challenge where it's like, all right, for the next 30 days, I'm going to do my mindset every day. I'm going to tick it off a board. Yeah. So it can be cool.
Yeah, stuff like that.
All right, girls. So the next one is we're going to go into how to dominate your training in games. So essentially creating like a really good routine to essentially dominate your sport. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is as we go through this course, we're going to unpack more and more mindset tools. And so this little system here is how you can go and basically dominate anytime you want to. Okay, and so there's a few things as we get into this course that is really going to help you to prepare for your game, prepare for your sport. And so one of the first things we want to talk about is finding confidence. Okay, so confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is something that we do. And next week on our mindset call, we're actually going to dive into this really deep about how you can turn on your confidence anytime you need to. One of the little tools for that is having a success sign called always behaving confidently. So think of like your confidence ABCs. So let's say, for example, you're feeling a bit down, or you're feeling like things aren't going your way, especially like when you're playing sports or you're at training or something like that, and you just feel like a little bit lack of confidence. And it's like, if we can remind ourselves to always behave confidently, confidence becomes something that we do. It's not a feeling. Okay, and so that's a super important one. And it's really, really cool. Another one you could do is build a confidence collage. And what this is essentially taking like a heap of things where you've actually had some great success. So it could be, for example, you've got like, 10 photos and like a picture collage on your phone or on your wall of you doing really well at your sport. It could be like you scoring 10 tries. It could be you having like looking really happy on the field or something like that. And then another part is suiting up your alter ego, and asking yourself the question, am I there to dominate or am I there just to take part? Okay, and so these are some of the things that we'll get into a bit more next week when we go into our confidence part of this. Is there anything in there you've used, Floss, that we've sort of talked about over the time?
Yeah, definitely. Body language. is massive. Because even if I'm out there and I'm feeling like, oh fuck, I just dropped the ball, or I don't know, where it's not going our way, or even if my mind's somewhere else, you know, and I kind of need to switch myself back here, and I'll kind of like put my shoulders back, put my chest up, keep my chin up, you know, like even if I don't feel confident and my opposite's this freaking massive chick and I'm like, I'm gonna get smoked, you know, I'll just adopt a little bit of like swagger almost. And that almost makes like it is like a like makes them think I'm confident, but then it also makes me feel confident because I act confident, and then my brain's like, oh, this is what we're doing now, we're being confident, and I'm like, yeah bro, like catch up, and then yeah, that kind of helps me. So body language for sure.
Yeah, sick. No, that's very, very cool, and it's so true, isn't it? Like if you feel bigger than you are, you know, that's gonna, I guess, be portrayed, and it's not essentially being about like a dick, but it's, you know, it's like being like, hey, look, I've got to be confident because I'm out here to be good at this, you know, I'm out here to dominate, which is really cool. Cool. Then our next one is visualizing the process. So one of the things that we don't often do, you know, before we set out on the field, whether it's for a game, whether it's for training, is we don't often define success. Okay. And so one of the things like that, even if you want to take it into your training, is like, what does success mean for me in this game? And so you could have like 3 rocks, and it's like, all right, for this game, you know, I want to make sure I hit X, Y, Z. You know, I want to make sure I'm running my lines. I want to make sure, you know, I'm loud on the field so that my team feels my presence. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm the one that's, you know, I am feeling confident. That's going to be a success for me, is being confident the whole game. And then we sort of we'll get into this a bit more as we go, but learning this stuff is going to be a massive tool for you. So another one that you can do is confidence conditioning. So training your self-talk with a confidence statement. And it's like, before you walk out on the field, you know, you've defined your success, and then you say to yourself, like, I compete with dominance, you know, or if you're a weightlifter, I lift with grace and precision, or I am unshakable, you know. So it's like, once you've defined success, you essentially want to train your self-talk with that statement. So maybe let's quickly go through that and see what you guys can come up with in terms of like defining your success, and maybe start with you, Floss. Then we'll go Hope, Aisha, and Samaria.
Yeah.
So just maybe like, it can be rugby, it can be training, it can be whatever you like.
Okay. I used to define success by outcomes. So like as far as like games go, like whether we won, whether I scored, you know, stuff like that. And I realized that there's so much out of your control with sports, and life in general. So like defining your success by something that ends up being an outcome, you know, like, that you don't have control over, or maybe you did, was sometimes really, really hard and really shitty. So I started defining my success by how I personally like achieve the goals that I'd set out. So if I go into a game, I'll be like, right, like today I want to make like all my tackles, or 90% of my tackles. I want to assert my dominance, like you said. Like I want to be a presence. I want my opposite number to look at me and be like, fuck, she's ready to go. And I want to have fun. Like I want to actually enjoy it, because that's why I play. I don't play just because I want to go get smashed and just like come on the field like, fuck, when I do that again. Like I play because I really enjoy it, and I like hang out with my mates and have a good time. So like that's kind of how I define that. Like come off the field, I'm like, do I feel good? Did I have a good time? You know, did I do what I wanted to do? The goals that I set out, that I wrote out in my book for when out there, and that's how I define that success. Kind of similar in life as well. So like yeah, how am I doing? Did I get my training session done? Did I go talk about something that's been bothering me with one of my friends and actually open up about it? You know, that's kind of how I do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I guess if you were to have a statement on the field to remind yourself, what would it be?
Oh, I always just tell myself to have fun.
Yeah.
I always play my best when I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Or when I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. Cool. Awesome. Hope, how will you define success on the field?
I'm just outside in the wind, so sorry if it sounds really loud.
You're right.
I don't really know. Like, I just, as like long as I know that I played like the way I want to play, or yeah, like I did my, as long as I've done my role and I know I've done it to like the best that I can, then I'm pretty happy with myself on the field. Like,
Yep.
even though our team might lose or something, like, and I'll be cut, but personally, it's for me, like, success to me is, for myself, is just making sure that I've done the things that I needed to do on the field.
Yep. Yeah, that's really cool. And like, I guess in terms of like those things, what would they be normally?
Like, so I play 7, so it'd be like making sure that I get to the, the first ruck off set play, or making my tackles, and like if I get a couple steals during the game, then I'll be stoked. And just helping out my teammates on the field, really.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And would you have a statement that like to remind yourself?
I don't.
Yep.
But I guess I should probably come up with something, because that would actually probably help me if I'm getting frustrated on the field or something.
Yeah, and this is like, these are things that we'll go into a lot more sort of as we go through this course, like these little success signs, but it can be absolutely massive, like just having those little reminders, because then you sort of go from like things that are out of your control, like when you get frustrated, to like being able to bring yourself back to in control, and then going back to the process, which is cool. Awesome. Aisha?
For me, defining my success, I guess I like to praise myself for like the little things that I do in my day.
Cool.
So it was like getting up at like an early time, having breakfast, like having a good proper breakfast. I like to, I like the small successes. What really helps me get through the days.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I don't want to go training or whatever, I like to like at least have something that I can be proud of to like keep me going.
Yeah, sick. Cool. And what would your statement be to yourself?
Probably just be present. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Awesome. And Samaria, how do you define success? And I guess, mate, if you sort of want to share, I guess like your current, I guess, thing that's sort of out of your control. What is something, I guess, you can define success in regards to, maybe around that?
Do I need to explain the situation so that everyone else is not confused, or?
Yeah, up to you. Yep, if you want to share.
Sure. Okay, so over the last maybe 7 months, I've been to 2 New Zealand Māoris trials, and then a few weeks ago, maybe the 4th week of lockdown, I got a phone call to say that I had made the team and I would be representing New Zealand in the Māoris team. And camp, I would have flown out yesterday, but on Friday night, Northland got put back into level 3 lockdown, so we couldn't get out, me and 2 other mates. And my dad was coming too, so we got ruled out of the competition. And the rest of the girls are at camp now. So I don't know, and it's not really anything anybody could like do anything about. It's out of our control. I don't know, just I forgot the question now.
What do you think put you in that position What do you think gave you the success of being selected for the team?
Well, first, it wouldn't have been possible without my dad. He's like our Northland coordinator for like a lot of the girls rugby stuff. So we wouldn't have been able to trial at that first trial if it wasn't for him getting us in, because it was a closed trial.
Yep.
And I guess just my hard work, you know, consistent training. I haven't stopped training since before that first trial, because even though I didn't know if I was going to make it to the next one, I didn't want to, you know, stop chasing the dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, my definition of success is just being dominant, being present in all that I do, and just giving it everything.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Sort of gives me goosebumps. Hey, that's pretty cool. Probably the biggest thing I picked up there, and like I was really lucky to I did a training camp with Sunnyville Williams probably about 5 years ago. And pretty much what you said there was something that he actually sort of talked about and was part of what he was successful with. He's like, look, at the time, I think he was just coming back from a snapped Achilles, and he missed out on one of the teams, and he's like, look, I just keep working because I know it's going to put me in that position once I'm good to go again. And he's like, you know, everything's uncertain, but I can just keep doing what I'm doing and put the time into the little things. And ultimately, that's what got him back into the World Cup squad and stuff like that. It was actually really cool because it was really cool to meet a person like that, where I was like, you know, this guy's already one of the best in the world, but he's just like, I'll still put in the work because nothing's guaranteed, but I'll put myself in the best position. So that's really awesome. Scenario, that would be hard as fuck to deal with, but just keep doing the work. Hey, do you want to add something to that, Floss?
No, I just think it's so cool. It's really rough what's happened. That's completely out of your control. But you did the mahi to get yourself there, and you will get there again if you continue doing the mahi, which I know you will. So yeah, so cool that that we can help support you as well and give you some more tools.
Yep. And it really comes down to that mindset, of like, hey, look, I'll just keep doing the work. On last Friday, I got an email from the New Zealand selectors for like the weightlifting Masters World Champs. And they're like, oh, we've put you forward for the team. And then today I got an email saying that the World Champs has been cancelled because of COVID. I'm like, fuck.
Oh no.
But like I've helped so many world records with like the sharing and stuff. And like, I'm like, look, I know that something's probably gonna come up, so I'm just gonna keep myself ready. And so, but that was pretty gutting to like experience it firsthand, where it's like, I've been working hard for this for 2 years. And it just sort of like, on Friday you get told you're in, on Monday you get told you're out. I'm like, fuck's sake. But I just keep doing the work. Like, partly I enjoy it, and it's like, it's also really like, I've realized it's not really going to those world champs that defines me as a person. It's doing all the work and I guess who I become along the way. And I learned a long time ago that that's sort of, I guess that's what you're proud of at the end of it. Like, because as you know, things are out of your control. You can't really control it. But if you can be proud of the work and the effort you gave along the way, I think that's what's most important. So, cool. And then the last one that we'll get into today, ladies, is this is something we want you to sort of do like all the time, is asking yourself these questions, like after your game, after your training, you know, what did you execute with excellence? What did you lose control of? So it's sort of like when you're in a game, you know, like, was there a certain play that you just really, really nailed? Was it that you hit 90% of your tackles? You know, was it that you were the first to the ruck every time? You know, like, what are those things that you did execute with excellence? And then what did you lose control of? Was it that, like, hey, you got frustrated because you missed a tackle and that led you to missing the next 5 tackles? So it's like, actually being aware of the good and the bad, and then you can go and reflect on it and work on it for next time. Another thing is putting a lot of focus on your body language, focus, and self-talk. And so, like Floss sort of talked about this before, it's like, you know, if someone else is bigger than you on the field, it's like, make yourself bigger, make your body language bigger. Or do you just shrink down? You know, like, what is your body language like? Where is your focus? You know, is it on the play? Is it on the process? Or are you trying to focus on the outcome? I actually watched a really cool webinar. We were lucky enough to be on a webinar with Steve Hansen, and he was talking about the last World Cup that he was the coach of for the All Blacks. And he was like, the only reason we lost that World Cup is because we went there to win it. You know, we were focusing on winning the World Cup. We weren't focusing on what we needed to do. And that's ultimately why we lost the game, you know, because when shit hit the fan, all we were trying to do was win the game. And I think they were trying to beat the English, but they weren't focusing on the little things, you know, because they were so focused on winning. And so what is your focus? Is it on the outcome? Is it on trying to win? Or is it like what you have to do in the next play? Is it that tackle that you're about to make? Is it that line you're about to break? Then where's your self-talk? You know, was your self-talk all confidence? You know, was it about being at your best, or was it a little bit of self-doubt in there? And the cool thing about all of this is when you become aware of it, you're able to influence it, and you're able to change your outcomes because you can change yourself. And then the next thing is, and this is a question to ask yourself at the end of each day, end of each week, is what do I need to stop, start, and continue to make sure I'm moving closer to my goals? And that's a really simple way, is like, what do I need to stop doing that is holding me back from my goals? What do I need to start doing to move me closer to my goals? And what do I need to continue doing to make sure that, you know, I keep my progress up? And it's super, super simple, but it's a really great way to look at, you know, what's holding me back, what's helping me move forward, and why am I succeeding? Cool. So do we have any questions on that so far, girls? No? Cool. Sweet. Well, I might hand it over to you, Floss, to sort of wrap us up if you want. Maybe if you want to talk about training this week.
Oh yeah. How's everyone's trainings been going? I've heard back from a few of you. You said you're figuring it out. Anyone want to say anything? No.
Has anybody got any questions on like the training?
Yeah.
I just have a question. I don't know. I'll try word it properly, but how do I say this? Will the trainings? Is there? So say you were doing. So for example, today I had acceleration, and then week 2, day 1 or something. Is there any other, like, so say if I wasn't, sometimes I don't feel accomplished after doing those things, like they help, but is there anything you'd recommend doing alongside, like running or like a HIIT workout or?
Oh, extras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, is it because you, like, your body doesn't feel as sore as what you're used to, or is it because you just got more energy still?
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of like I'm not really used to that kind of training, so I don't feel like it's like not really working. I feel like it isn't. But
so you feel like you're not training hard?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So are you doing like the 6 seconds on the way down?
Yeah.
Yep. And how heavy are you going?
It varies. It varies for the different exercises.
Yep.
So like for like the deadlifts, I only have 55 kgs here at my house. So I was just doing that. And then like my dumbbells is only 10 kgs, so. And then I was doing like for the farmer's walk, I was doing it with the plates from the bar, but
yeah,
I can't really hold like 5 plates to keep it heavier, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got limited equipment. That's probably why it's not hard enough. Yeah, that's
What-
understandable.
Yeah,
So would I increase the reps or like, I don't really know, or sets or something?
that is something you could do for sure. Like if you're limited on weight, probably increase either the amount of reps or the sets. And so, because like ideally, at least 2 to 3 sets should be really challenging. But if you're limited on weights, then it might be a matter of like, what is your maximum deadlift?
For weights or
Yeah,
in general?
what's your 1 rep max deadlift?
I haven't really tried. The most I've done is like 80.
Okay, cool. So you're probably
But-
lifting at around 60 to 70% with the 50 kilos.
Mhm.
So maybe you might need to do like 8 reps.
Okay.
Yeah. So just do a couple of extra reps, and sort of aim to make it challenging. Because if you're hitting this program right, it'd probably leave you, like Floss said on Friday, she's like, my legs feel numb. So
Yeah, I was in a gym though. I had heaps of weights and I was squatting a lot, so that was good. But now I'm here and I've got a 20 kg bar and that's it. So I'm gonna be on the same boat as you.
and it could
I
be less
add more
stress.
time. Yeah, less rest, and like instead of a 6-second eccentric, I'll do like a 10 sometimes if it's real light, just to make it real friggin' challenging. Yeah, or more reps.
Oh yeah, and that's also another
sure.
thing I struggle with is like resting for 90 seconds. I just get bored.
Yeah, once you
Yeah,
start
you
to
need
lift
more
heavy,
weight,
you're
sis.
gonna need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because one of the things generally and something I picked up there is like for women especially, quite often you're able to lift, like let's say for example your 1 rep max is 80 kilos. It's probably quite likely right now you could probably do like 8 to 10 kilos at like 70. So it's like you're probably able to do more reps. And what that means is your nervous system's actually undertrained. So probably looking at like without seeing it, you've probably got a lot of upside to get very, very strong. You just need to develop that system. And if you're at the end of 90 seconds, you're like feeling fully recovered, it probably means you're not lifting anywhere near heavy enough. Because once you start to get heavy, you'll be like, fuck, 3 minutes, so I have to go again. Yeah, and just for now, like obviously because you're a bit limited, just send us a text every day and we can give you options to change it around as well.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, because it is a bit hard, obviously, like if you don't have like access to the ultimate equipment, we just have to make do for now.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else got any questions on training, food, mindset stuff?
I've got one question. Just because I missed 3 days, like starting,
Yep.
what's the best thing for me to do to like catch up on the stuff that I missed?
In regards to the training,
Yeah.
just start at day 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about too much about catching up. Just because like you'll sort of catch up over time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things we sort of want to think about is like more is not better. So it's like we just take your time and cruise into it. Because Felicity could vouch for this. There's some days where you'll be like, fuck. The training can get pretty hectic. So it's just about building yourself into it, really.
Yeah. No, just start at day 1 and work your way through, because by the time you get to the end of the week, it's sore. It's good, but you need a rest day and you know it, you can feel it. So yeah.
And it's just ask as many questions as you like, and we can sort of help adjust and change things as we need. And we'll just sort of work around it, because like I guess it's a strange situation with lockdowns and that, so like we just got to adjust as much as we can. Like Aisha's, she's on at-home bodyweight workouts. How are you going with that?
They're all right. They're not too challenging, but I just like up the reps.
Yeah.
I've got the most weight I've got is like 4 kg dumbbells, so I use that too. So.
Do you have anything around home that you could lift to make it heavier?
Yeah, I have a paint bucket full of
Yeah.
paint. So
Yeah.
I use that.
Do you have a rock around or like a big rock or something?
Not really, but I have resistant bands too, so I use that for a bit more resistance too.
Yeah, cool. Sick.
Cool.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, well, that's kind of like, that's all I want to say is like, message us if like during the day, anytime. If you've got questions in the middle of your workout, and just either you can send a video if you're unsure about something, or something's not hard enough, or it's too hard. Just ask, because there's always adaptations in these things that you can work around it with, but that we know that you might not. So yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Anytime.
100%. Yeah, and it's because like the program's set out for a very specific outcome. So it's like if you're not getting, I guess, the training stimulus that we want, it's potentially like as we found out, like you don't have access to enough weights, and we just need to make adjustments, which we can do quite easily. So
Yeah.
So
Northland's coming out of level 3 soon, eh? Tomorrow.
We just got put in for another 3 days.
Yeah,
But-
Friday.
I'm not sure yet.
Do you have access to a gym after that when you go level 2?
Potentially, but my God, be quiet. My brother's somewhere. Potentially, but not really, because my gym subscription stuff is like in Auckland. Because I go to
Oh,
school.
right. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
we
yeah.
can try.
So good.
cool.
Cool.
Sweet girls. All right, we'll call it there. And we'll catch you all later in the week. Just shoot for any questions you have and we'll talk soon.